The school system was not created to help you, and college debt was created to trap you. Luckily, AI completely breaks this evil system and reinvents education. But before we talk about the future, we must understand the past. The public school system was created to teach you how to be an employee. Why, you may ask? Because for every dollar that you get paid at your job, you make the owner of that company $3. So if your salary is $100,000, you are making the owner of that company $300,000. And the people that created the American public school system knew that. Free education sounds like a public service, but the truth is much more sinister than you think. You see, the American public school system was created at the beginning of the Industrial Revolution in the 19th century. The invention of the steam engine allowed for the creation of large factories which needed workers. However, most working class Americans at the time were just uneducated farmers, so the American public school system was created. The goal was to create a standardized education system that would provide children with the necessary skills to participate in the growing industrial economy, aka work in these factories to make the owners money. So as a result, these schools focused on teaching basic reading and math, as well as punctuality, obedience, and discipline, which would be useful skills in an industrial factory. Getting a degree signaled that you were trained in skills that would make the factory money, and showed that you were good at doing what you're told without causing problems. So that is why the school system was created. And I do want to say there's nothing wrong with being an employee. Surgeons are very important employees. But I mean, if you want to be rich like I do, it is very important to understand why this whole, go to school, get a degree, then get a job narrative is thrown around so much. You see, it is the job of the business owner to shift your perception in a way that makes you think that your job is benefiting you, when in reality, it benefits them way more. They want you to think that going to school and getting a job is the right thing to do, when in reality it disproportionately benefits them.
Reality is reality. What CIA taught me was a better way of explaining what reality actually is. And reality is that 98% of human beings are trapped in their own perception. So the 2% that live in the real world that have perspective, they are able to manipulate the perception of everybody else.
You see, humans are funny creatures. When people feel like they're being told what to do, they will often resist or even do the opposite out of a desire to keep their independence. So effective persuasion often involves guiding people to make the desired decision in a way that it feels like it was their own idea. Let me use an example from the book Propaganda by Edward Bernays. Bernays worked with a piano company that was trying to boost their sales. But instead of the usual ads where people talked about how great or cheap their pianos were, he started a movement to make music rooms a cool thing to have in every house. He talked to famous architects and home designers to start including music rooms in their plans for future homes. He then used TV, radio, and billboards to spread the idea that every modern home should have a music room. And as more people started liking the idea of music rooms, more people started to think that they needed a piano for that music room. So what did we learn from this? For business owners to get their desired outcome, they need to say one thing, but actually mean something completely different. They do this by pointing out a problem that you didn't know existed before. And if you want to be an expert propagandist, you frame it in a way that it's for a good cause. And Bernays was an expert at this. You see, he was hired by a cigarette company called Lucky Strike in the 1920s to help sell more cigarettes. And Bernays had an idea. He tied smoking cigarettes to the fight for women's rights. In 1929, he set up a group of women to march in a big parade in the middle of New York City. And he had these women smoking cigarettes, which they called torches of freedom. By doing this, Bernays made smoking a way for women to stand up for their rights and become equal to men. In this case, Bernays used the fight for women's rights, a good cause, to sell more cigarettes. We all know cigarettes are horrible for you, but you couldn't criticize them at the time because if you were anti-cigarettes, you're now anti-women's rights, which is ethically questionable, to say the least. But the reason I share all of this information is because it's eerily similar to what we hear around free public education and college. Let me explain. Have you ever wondered why the school system is teaching you abstract topics like geology or trigonometry, but there's not a single class on taxes or credit. Interesting, isn't it? We think it is more important to teach the next generation about different rocks than general budgeting finances. You know, something we all do. Well, hey, it's free. And who could be against free education? Just like you couldn't criticize cigarettes or else you're anti-women's rights, if you criticize what's taught in schools, you are against free education. Now, remember how Bernays created music rooms to sell more pianos? That's exactly what college degrees are to get business owners more employees. And the genius of it all, you will be $100,000 in debt at the age of 18, so you will have to get a job. Here is Luke Belmar to explain modern day slavery with college debt.
Have you ever wondered why you need to raise your hand to ask your teacher for permission to ask a question? Hopefully the question does not contradict their teachings, because then you'll be sent to the principal's office and you will be put in detention. Sounds very much like prison. Many times you want to use the restroom and they say, hey, you know what? Maybe I'll let you use the bathroom. And hopefully, fingers crossed, you're allowed to use the bathroom, but before you use the bathroom, you're given a hall pass. This hall pass gives you the allowance to walk down the corridors of your school, surrounded by concrete walls and fluorescent lights. Hopefully you have your hall pass when the hall monitor stops you lest you break the rules. All of this is conditioning designed to keep you a slave, designed to keep you subjugated and controlled. You may think they're small nuances, but if you think the world operates by chance and that things just happen, then you really don't understand how the game is played. When the bell goes off at recess, it very much resembles an assembly line. When the bell goes off, it's break time. But it does not only resemble the factories, it also resembles the prison industrial complex. When the bell goes off, well, that's when the inmates have access to the yard to enjoy some of the rays of the sun and hopefully some grass. All of these things are by design. When you're in primary school and middle school and high school, you are conditioned to transition these behaviors and these thoughts and these operating systems to university, where you do not question authority. You do not question the person in charge. You're then led to the financial office to receive financial aid. But is it really aid? We understand that there is no such thing as a free lunch. So when you're pulling out these loans, subsidized and unsubsidized loan, look them up. You'll realize that in fact, you are becoming a slave. Andrew Jackson, who's on the $20 bill, famously said, when you are in debt, you become a slave. So what best time to make somebody a slave when they have no understanding of the financial system, when they have not been educated as to how the world works, and they end up in a situation where all they do is nurture their ideas from a source of authority that has been fabricated out of thin air. The Bible also says the borrower is the servant of the lender. And the people that run the financial system of the world understand that once you go from primary school to middle school to high school, you then become an autonomous individual. And the only way to keep you a slave is to keep you in debt. So this higher education for most people is in fact another level of the matrix, another level to subjugate and control every aspect of your life.
So, objectively, student debt is a trap. And business owners that live in reality are using perception management to get you to work for them, aka use your energy and effort to make them money. And that's literally why the public school system was created. Now again, this is not some evil conspiracy thing. I am saying this to make you aware of reality. Rockefeller was literally quoted saying, "I don't want a nation of thinkers. I want a nation of workers." This is objectively how the world works, whether you agree with it or not. And that is why I'm so passionate about educating people on this channel, because I went through the entire machine and saw firsthand how big of a scam it actually was. I went to a Division I business school and took on over $60,000 in student debt. And every single year, I just kept asking myself and looking around, is this really all we're learning? Surely next year is when I'll learn a real skill, right? But by the time my senior year came around, in my marketing class, they were teaching us to market using radio and the newspaper. And that's fine, but this was in 2019, 7 years after Facebook ads has been the most popular medium to advertise. My point is, what I was learning was absurdly outdated and grossly overpriced. And even with this being the case, schools can just keep raising their price because the government guarantees every single loan, no questions asked. And they do all of this to trick you into thinking that you're getting a good education, when in reality, you're getting the bare minimum information to be a good employee, and now you're in debt, so you can't leave. It's sick. But luckily, now there's an alternative. People who are the best in the world at what they do have online courses that teach you exactly how to do what they do, and they're just a few $100. The best thing you can do is invest in learning the highest quality information from the highest quality people. And these people will literally tell you everything you need to do to be successful and give you a step-by-step blueprint to do it. I have spent over $100,000 of my own money on online courses and masterminds, and that is the sole reason that I have a net worth over 7 figures. Now, you probably shouldn't spend money on a course made by an 18-year-old flexing a Lambo on TikTok, but yes, you should absolutely spend a few $100 on a course from someone who is a proven expert in their field. And now with the onset of AI, we are entering a whole new era on how people learn. So instead of a school system where everybody is competing in the same standardized system, we have AI, which can teach each student in the learning style that suits them. You see, there are 3 main learning styles. 30% of people are auditory learners and prefer to learn through listening. 60% of people are visual learners and prefer to learn from diagrams, charts, and graphs. And only 10% of people are reading learners, people who prefer to learn through books, taking notes, and making lists. Yet our current system teaches every individual the exact same way. An AI learning program looks at what method works best for you specifically. Then the AI makes a learning map for you. If you're a visual learner, it's going to show you more diagrams and charts, but if you're an auditory learner, it's going to give you more audio to listen to. It even notices things like how long you spend doing different types of tasks or whether you perform better at certain times of the day. And the best part is AI keeps updating the learning map as you go. So if something changes, maybe you start doing better with reading learning, it's going to start teaching you more in that style as it naturally picks up and learns from that. It's like having a personal tutor that's always paying attention to what works best for you. And not only this, you can learn from any human in documented history. So if you want to learn from, let's say, entertainer philosopher Alan Watts, it will put together a structured curriculum and even teach you in his voice. So we can truly learn from any human in an optimized way for us. AI will fully decentralize high quality education and make it available to everyone. This video is dedicated to all of the students out there that were like me. The ones who feel that to their core, something is wrong with the system, but their parents are telling them they have to go to school. The school system was not designed to help you. If you truly want to be successful, all of the information is out there and it's up to you to teach yourself. Self-motivated learning is the only guaranteed path to success. And lastly, parents, if you have a kid who is intrinsically pursuing an interest, whether it's an online store, design, content creation, or any hustle that it may be, support them. The best teachers are on the internet, not at your local college. Encourage them to join online communities of like-minded people and invest in online courses from people who are proven to be great at what they do. College culture is not what it used to be, and I'll leave it at that. If you made it this far, I highly recommend you go watch my last podcast with Oliver Brocado. It is literally a masterclass on how to sell products on TikTok. But other than that, I hope you learned something. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I will see you in the next one.